Now, our next presenter is Mr. Scott Langston. He's another teacher at the school, TOK, Humanities, Geography, and an interesting little fact that I didn't know about him until just a couple of days ago is that he's published 2 books in the area of self-discovery. It's very interesting. But he's here today to talk to you about how vegetarianism can save the planet. All right, and I grew up on a farm in New Zealand. So we'll see how it all goes.
Nice, it's good, thanks. Oh, that's bright. Okay. So, I'm a vegetarian. Have been for the last 27 years, which came as a shock to me when I worked it out this morning. And I felt when I was in my 20s I had to apologise for that. And it wasn't really until I was in my 30s that I began to realise that when I said to somebody I'm a vegetarian, this is what they heard. So you can relax. I'm not a big fan of soapboxes. Making other people uncomfortable is rarely a way to promote change. I'm not going to shock you with images from slaughterhouses, but if you want to Google Paul McCartney in glass houses, please do. I just want to tell you briefly about why I became a vegetarian. I think it was clear to me as a very young child that animals could suffer as much as we could. You poke or kick an animal, it squeals and runs away in the same way that I would have done. And I didn't know why that was okay. So it confused me, and I thought that the way that animals basically were treated, even if we might not have any particular empathy with chickens, I think we can probably see that they're not having a great life, and I just felt for me that that was wrong. And I couldn't see the difference between eating one type of animal or eating another. Quite often people are appalled by the fact that in certain countries people will eat dogs. And it appalls me as well, but as much as eating a pig, which is as intelligent, as social, and as sensitive. So for me, eating any kind of animal, even Pamela, would be wrong. And I find it very, very hard to disassociate the words that we have for parts of flesh that you might buy in a supermarket from the same parts of my fellow man or woman. But actually what I want to talk to you today is not about how vegetarianism can reduce cruelty or how animals should have rights, but how it might just be something that can save the planet, something that can stop this. You're about to see an image, which is a half acre of land. This is the amount of land that it would take to sustain one person on a vegetarian diet for a year. A meat-eating diet requires 4 times that amount, 2.11 acres in fact, which might not seem a particularly interesting concept until you think about our ecological footprint and this notion of global hectares. A global hectare is a measure of what the planet can produce, how much each person uses, how much each person needs. And the ecological footprint is a measure of that, how quickly we're consuming and how long it would take the planet to create the resources we've just used. So this map shows something called the biocapacity of various different countries, and it probably won't surprise you that the red stuff is not the good stuff. In the US, 3.87 global hectares are available per capita and 8 are used. That means that if everybody in the world were to live a North American lifestyle, which includes us, we'd actually need 5 planets. The planet could support 1.5 billion people based on that level of consumption. In 2010, the WWF reported that the annual budget of biocapacity of the planet was used by August, which means that everything that the planet could produce in a year was gone after 8 months. Clearly this is not a sustainable way of living, and what we need to do is reduce what we consume. I think vegetarians should be a huge part of that solution. Of all of the agriculturally viable land in the US, 80% is used directly for livestock. It's the major cause of deforestation in the Amazon. We produce a lot of grain on the planet, and we feed it to animals to provide meat. If we fed that grain directly to people, it would feed 8.7 billion people. However, it doesn't, because we turn it into something else. We turn it into this. This is 1 kilo of beef. And just keep that picture in mind, because I'm going to refer to it again in a moment. If you consider that this much meat requires 10 kilos of grain, it's even more shocking when you consider the amount of water that goes into producing meat, and how water as a commodity is becoming more and more of a political issue, and more scarce. This is the notion of virtual water, where any product that is made on the planet can be transferred into how much water it costs to make it. Unfortunately, coffee's 840 litres a cup, and tea's only 90, but I don't care, I like coffee. The kilo of beef that you saw earlier needs 20,000 litres of water. For that amount of water, you can produce this much wheat. And I'm sure you can fill in the blanks. The next slide is to do with global warming, which is an issue that is very close to one of the subjects I teach. An interesting statistic from the UN says that the meat industry worldwide emits more greenhouse gases than all of the transportation systems on the planet. Planes, trains, automobiles, cars, motorbikes. Actually, the meat industry produces more. Species and biodiversity loss. Imperial College London researchers say that in the next 30 years, 55 species of plants, of animals and birds will disappear from the Amazon jungle. And biodiversity, as I'm sure you know, is one of the major reasons that we're still here, and it's really, really important. So in short, I think a non-meat or a reduced meat diet is one way that we're going to tackle the environmental crisis that is facing this planet. And the last image is aimed at the person in the room who, in my experience, will later corner me and say, "I bet you're wearing leather shoes." Thank you very much.